I'm Matt Plapp,
My name's Shawn Walchef.
and this is Own Their
Phones.
That music's got kind of a basketball vibe, like I'm coming out of a March Madness.
I like it. I love March Madness.
Shawn, live from California, but you got the New York background.
Yes.
This
New
is
York
Own
helps.
Their
New York, Manhattan helps us think big.
helps you think big. I love the New York
Yeah.
song by Jay-Z, and is it Alicia Keys or what's the lady that's in that?
Yes.
New
Alicia.
York.
Right.
So this is Own Their Phones. If you're new to watching or listening to these, this is a podcast by myself, Matt Plapp from America's Best Restaurants, and Shawn Walchef of Cali Barbecue. We're working together, and part of the goal is to work together on a capacity that we have some systems and processes, but also other things that Shawn might have needs for. And Shawn, you said before we hit the record button, you had a couple topics you wanted to talk about of things that you need help
Yes.
with.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the coolest part about this relationship, partnership, is that we have the best restaurant digital marketing firm, not just in the entire nation, but on earth. And we've been spending 15 years talking to professionals on digital hospitality, our other podcast on restaurant influencers, our podcast with Entrepreneur Magazine. And I found Matt Plapp, and Matt Plapp and his team are dedicated to improving the marketing of restaurants. And so much of what I do, I was just at the Western Food Expo in Los Angeles at the LA Convention
cool.
Center, and I gave 2 speaking sessions, and one of them was on building your tech stack. And in that presentation, I talked about America's Best Restaurants and how you guys were helping build our CRM, our tool that's going to help us pull in our Toast emails, pull in our MailChimp emails, pull in the emails that we've sent for catering, and help us build a database so that we can be active. We can have a digital heartbeat with our customers, not just on their birthday, not just on their anniversary, but letting them know on a weekly basis on whichever platform they choose. You and I, when we first started working together, I made an honest admission with you that as much as I love social media, I mean, we had largely ignored Facebook in the last 5 years. I mean, we'd spent so much time on Instagram, so much time on TikTok, so much time on Twitter, podcasting, YouTube, that we had kind of just let Facebook go by the wayside. And we had 25,000 fans on Facebook. And now your team, through ManyChat, through all the things that you guys have expertise in doing, you're activating this fan base, and we're pulling in new fans with Facebook ads. So before the call, I said, Matt, during this show, let's talk about email marketing, and let's talk about, if there's a way to activate one of, your 50 plus experts that you have at America's Best Restaurants to work with me and Stover on a weekly basis to come up with a content plan for emails, so that we can actively week over week. And I'm not talking about an hour meeting. I'm talking like, let's figure out 15 minutes with me and whoever else from your team and Stover. Let's talk about emails. Let's send out 1 email per week. At least, I mean, we have Snapdragon coming out, Snapdragon Stadium. This Saturday is the first game. It's a 100-year anniversary of the San Diego State Aztecs, 35,000 seat stadium. We were one of 7 brands selected. So there's 3,000 restaurants in San Diego. And because of the work we've done for 15 years, we got selected by the San Diego State University. Their athletic department picked us to come and represent barbecue in this entire stadium. So we have 2 locations. This is a huge deal for us, for our brand, but we want to tap into our existing base, that 25,000 Facebook fans, those 24,000 Instagram fans, all the fans that we have through Toast, all the fans that we have through Ovation, all the fans that we have on MailChimp, and figure out how can we send out a message, a coordinated message to say, hey, if you're coming to the game, please come and check out our stand. Take a picture at the stand, take a selfie, tag us on social, but activate them, and not only activate them, but thank them. I mean, if it wasn't for all of our fans supporting us for 15 years, we wouldn't have an opportunity to be in San Diego's new sexy stadium. So,
and there's a good and bad part about emails like that. The thing that I don't like is when you get too specific to a broad audience, you waste bandwidth.
Yep.
And so what we've got to figure out within your database is how to either narrow the audience, or how to broaden the messaging and narrow it to a funnel. What I mean by that is, number one, we can take the list and figure out, okay, guys are going to be more apt to engage in this because it's football. Frequent customers more apt. So we could narrow down some of the data you got to get from, a couple thousand to a couple hundred to start off. Or you can go wide with it, and maybe you go the entire database, but you tie it in with a football theme.
Yep.
We want to see your favorite memory of you and a loved one or your best friend at a football game. Like, I've got multiple pictures of me and Cole at the Bears and Bengals games the last couple of years. So bring in the concept of maybe engaging for that reason. And here's why we want you to do that. By the way, we're going to be at the Aztec Stadium, and we want you to come by. So that's the one thing I find is that restaurants, when they do email marketing, you've got 52 weeks, and they say, okay, 52 weeks, I'm going to email the entire database. And I'm like, no. Don't email your entire database 52 weeks, because half of those topics aren't relevant to half the audience.
Yep.
Probably even more than that. And what I like to do with our team is say, hey, let's figure out a plan to where we can look at the database, look at the message. And, if it's Mother's Day, we know we're going to hit women that are frequent. Because one thing we do a lot is that we're asking a question. Are they new, frequent, or lost? I'll actually share something right now because this will be pertinent to the conversation. So let's go share screen. Yeah. So when I look at just part of the database, and you've got multiple databases from multiple places. When I look at this and we see, okay, right now in this database, 46% are brand new customers, 17% are frequent, 36% are people who had interacted with the brand a while ago and now have said, hey, I want to come back. That, you're not going to hit these new and lost people, maybe the lost, but definitely not the new with something about, Mother's Day, like the new guys. Not going to hit them with new because it's Mother's Day, and two, because they've never been to the restaurant. So they're going to be less likely to engage in your email marketing for a topic that's specific.
Yep.
But they might be more likely to engage with something that is a bribe to get them to walk in the restaurant for that first visit, which is what we do. But your Aztecs idea, I could see working really well with these frequent and lost, because those are people that have been exposed to the brand. They know what to expect. And we can tie in something from a standpoint of the messaging, maybe not only being about that stadium, but being about the topic of going out. It's fall, it's football season. You got high school, you got college, you got pro. We want to see your favorite memories. And by the way, did you know you could enjoy us at the Aztecs? If you're an Aztecs fan, comment Aztecs below, and you could drive it to Facebook and Instagram. Can you see my screen here as well?
I can.
So
Small,
this is this is a workflow in the platform we use for email, which is, oh crap, I hit it again. Workflow that we'll use, and this gives you an idea on what you can do. This is something I like about this. Is ManyChat, by the way. And if you're listening, it's a email, text, messenger automation, even WhatsApp automation platform. But what I like is you can have different starting steps and actions and conditions. So we can go through here, and as we build your list, we could have a list in here for your people from Toast, from MailChimp, from Ovation, from people who have ordered online, from people who have, there's all these different tags you can give people. And so you can walk them down a path, and then depending on what they do in that email, if they clicked the order now link, if they clicked the enter the contest link, if they clicked something else, you can take them down a path to where they might get another email, another text. In this case, we did a text campaign. You can see only 1.4% of this email clicked that campaign. So that email wasn't very effective, in my opinion. I mean, 2%, 1 to 2% is above average, but I don't like 1 to 2%. But you can see how the people, when you sent it the text, 9% all of a sudden clicked it. So you had 7 to 8 times more people click the text. And so that's the goal for me, is to figure out what are the call to actions, who's the audience, and then kind of going down a path. But a big thing is getting way ahead of the game so that we're looking at these in like 4 to 8 weeks. Because I had a company that called me the other day and said, Matt, what are your top tips for building a marketing plan? Like, what do you do? And I said, like, what was the top 10 reasons for having a marketing plan? That was the question. I said, number one is so that by having a plan, that means you've already prepared what's going to happen in 60 or 90 days.
Correct.
So the second week of August, when you hear that your son's doing a fantasy football draft, you're like, oh shit, that would have been a good idea for the restaurant. That if you're doing a plan, about fantasy football in May, and you can get the graphics ready, the vendor partnerships. You're huge with partnerships with companies like Toast and Ovation and Marquee that you can call in some favors and go, hey man, we're wanting to do this. Can we get some baseball hats or football hats or whatever?
Yep.
So is the biggest opportunity for you guys just to use email on a more consistent basis? Is that where you're seeing it?
Yeah, I think using email on a more consistent basis, but I think having a dedicated, the same way that Scott is our dedicated account manager, but
Yep.
having somebody that we're checking in with on a weekly basis to make sure that those lists are getting built properly.
Yep.
So that all of our Toast customers are getting imported. Just taking a look at these key performance indicators so that we know that MailChimp, like I said, I'd love to get rid of MailChimp, but that's a
Yep.
Stover thing. We'll talk to Stover about that. We'll figure that out. But then coming up with this, calendar of every single week, this is what we're planning on doing. This is the messaging. And this is how my team can support the messaging so that my managers know, my front of the house knows, my, social media guy that runs our Instagram and our TikTok, he knows, so that everyone's kind of on the same page on a marketing side.
I love it. And I'm going to show you this because I think this is a great place for people to start, and even for us to look at from a cheat sheet standpoint. You're obviously going to have things in your world that are pertinent to you, but can you see my screen here, the America's Best Restaurant? So this is something you have access to because you guys are clients, and this is something we have that's, I guess, proprietary to us. But the one cool thing about this is that we've got a directory our team has created, because they go back and look and say, okay, what's worked well in the past. And so one thing they're consistently doing is trying to figure out what things have worked and what are excuses to have conversations outside of the normal stuff. Because you're going to have that normal stuff that you've got going, the Aztecs, different things in your business. But there's other things, here's I don't know the significance of this in August, but apparently there's a significance of Pop-Tarts in August. So do you toast them or no toast them? By the way, do you toast your Pop-Tarts or not?
I don't eat Pop-Tarts or my wife would kill me.
Oh my, Pop-Tarts, man, you got Pop-Tarts are amazing. Okay, I'm a toasted Pop-Tarts guy.
We're a Bulgarian family. We do a mikitsi, which is it's like a fried bread.
Okay. So
that's fried, so that would be hot.
Okay, so there we go. So it's toasted. So you would be a top Pop-Tart toaster. But
yes,
the cool thing about in here, what we've done with this is we've developed these ideas that instead of having to recreate the wheel, it's all in here, whether it's a Facebook post or Instagram. And there's typically 8 to 10 every month. And there's honorable mentions down here, like, August, American Family Day. There's apparently a day in August called American Family Day. But, going through here and looking at what's popular in September. And September, obviously everybody's talking about football. And the one thing I try and tell our clients to look at is, hey, let's look at what maybe people might not be talking about. You got Oktoberfest is big. Apparently Guacamole Day, Labor Day is coming up next weekend, National Chicken Month. Pizza. I don't know what this one is. It's does pineapple belong on pizza? I have never had pineapple on pizza. Have you?
Yeah, my wife's a huge Hawaiian pizza. For me, I'm more of a everything pizza.
Yeah.
So the works, but and the works don't include pineapple or ham. Actually, it's more of pepperoni and sausage.
So yeah, I've never had pineapple on pizza. Now I think about it, but the concept of that chart for our team is like, hey, let's talk to guys like Shawn or Stover and look and see what their needs are. Like, what is a topic that is near and dear to Cali BBQ, in September, in October, in November, in December, because obviously people have the gift card promos. They have all sorts of stuff they do in November, December. But then what are other ancillary ones that might not tie in with Cali barbecue at all?
Sure.
But get people to engage, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or email. What I love doing, and I don't know if you've done this in the past, your email, have you guys driven much of your email traffic to places on Facebook and Instagram in the past?
We have. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things we've spent 15 years literally doing every type of marketing there is. So we've done, stock photos, happy hours, 50-cent wings. I mean, you name the promotions, we've done it. You name the event, we've done it. You name the platform, we've tried it. And, what I'm excited about is coming up with creative consistency. So having creative consistency and having a plan, knowing that we can try anything and then look at the data and then see, did it work or did it not work? Yeah. Are people engaged? Are they not engaged? Did the links get clicked or did they not get clicked? Did it drive traffic? Did it not drive traffic? And then, start to look at that across different platforms, but more importantly, build this relationship with our digital customer, which we call digital hospitality. Really cultivating these relationships in segmented lists, so we're not bombarding everybody with stuff that people don't want. If people, and that includes figuring out how to market the podcast, how to let business owners that follow our restaurant, that know that we create business content, how do we slow drip them and, not bombard them, but let them know in the bottom of the email, hey, do you own a business? Do you own a restaurant? Check out our Own Their Phones podcast. Check out Restaurant Influencers podcast. Like, all of these things are very difficult when you don't sit down and prioritize them. When you prioritize them with a team like you have and I have, then you can start to do some really cool stuff and then start to share that with all the other restaurant owners that are trying to figure it out too.
Okay. I love it. I like creative consistency. And I agree there. Somebody asked me the other day about starting a podcast. He said, I cranked out 5 podcasts yesterday. So I've got those for the next 5 weeks. So they're doing a weekly one. They're a restaurant owner. So I applaud restaurant owners, because you're one of the only people I know doing a podcast that owns a restaurant. And my vision is I want to get about 100 restaurant owners in the next 12 months podcasting.
I love it.
And he is like, what should I do now? Because we have a whole list of kind of teaching. I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, should I just pop in here every once in a while and do these, or should I schedule? I said, no, schedule it. Like, have it where I don't care if you did 5 today. Now you got 5 in the hole. Click every Monday, because if you say, I'm going to go to the gym a couple days a week, and then it becomes one day, and then it becomes 2 weeks you miss. And the same with podcasts, that you got to say, hey, we're going to do it this day, and we're going to record them, and we're going to go on their way.
There's only 2 ways. It's either every week or it's every day. There's nothing else. Monthly's bullshit. Monthly, it will always get pushed to the back. It's either every day or every week. That's the only way. That's the only way it works.
You ever heard of BNI, the networking groups?
Yeah, we did a presentation for them, or we invited them to our presentation.
So I did you're right. I forgot about that.
Come on, I'm a Northern Kentucky boy now.
You're a Kentucky boy. So I had a chance to meet with the guy who founded it, Ivan Meisner. And I think he's out of it now. Might just be, he's maybe just part owner. But a while back, he was talking about this experiment they did with BNI meetings. And it goes to the same way you talked about consistent. And BNIs meet every week. Like right now, there's a BNI meeting in our lower level. Right now, they meet every Tuesday, 11:30 to 1. And there was all these people going, hey, we ought to try and do it like every other week, or do it every month. And so he said, okay, I'll let the proof prove my point. And so they went to a couple chapters that met every other week. And then they went to a chapter that met every month. And within 6 months, they had the data, because what happened every month was that, if you got a weekly meeting that you missed 10 times a year, it's once every month, every other month. You got a monthly meeting you miss a third of. Next thing you know, you're there in May, you missed June and July, you're back in August. Like, nobody knows you.
Well, the beautiful thing about consistency is the accountability. If you're not consistent, you're not accountable. That's where the compounding interest of growth happens. That's when you're uncomfortable, is when you show up and you go, well, I saw Matt last week and Matt said he was going to, do this promotion for our team, or run this campaign, or bring his media crew, and he didn't bring it. Hey, Matt, what's up? But if you don't come for a month, and then you forget, and then it's next month, and then it's November, and it's Halloween, and it's Thanksgiving, and now it's Christmas, and we don't meet because of the calendar. No, 52 weeks. If you're doing a podcast every week, same day every week, 52 weeks out of the year, you can batch your content so that you can schedule it out. But that creative consistency, that only happens if you make a commitment. And if you don't make a commitment, that. Otherwise, you couldn't do 4 podcasts.
5 now.
There you go.
I've got 9 episodes a week right now. 9 to 11 depends on the Restaurant Expert Roundup if we do 2 or 3 in a week. But we're up to.
You include the Clubhouse Lives. Those are basically podcasts, because they're recorded content. So that's another 5 per week. You're almost at 10. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. It's just a matter of getting out there and doing it. And I remember telling myself, like, you know what? I mean, if you do it every day, who cares? I mean, just make it happen. So what I'll end on is, we're going to put together this plan, and what we'll do, and I'll get it after we get off the call here. We'll get it scheduled with Scott and with Lisa from the team, and come up with a game plan of, okay, we got 52 weeks. What are the things we have to know about the next 52 weeks? The anniversary of Cali BBQ. We're going to celebrate Shawn's birthday. We're going to celebrate your chef's birthday. Like, what are the things that we can do within the brand? And then what are the other items, like the different stadiums you're opening up? And then we can look in there and go, okay, what are the in-betweens, the Halloweens, the Thanksgivings that
Yep.
are easy. But the thing I love to tell restaurants that you can do a couple things to really what I call hack the algorithm of social media is that the easiest way to get engagement to your Facebook and Instagram, which is what helps it get seen by more people, is to drive specific traffic there. And the two easiest ways to drive specific traffic to your social content is via email/text and then through paid ads. And so one thing we like to do is that we have a lot of success with. So, coming up here in October, it'll be Halloween. It'll be something that goes out early in the month. There'll be a Facebook post made about women, about anybody, but we target women because we know who comments mostly. But hey, comment, drop a picture below of your little one from last year. We're giving away the ultimate Halloween, blah, blah, blah. Well, then we go to email, text, and paid ads and target the right people. Well, now a post that might have normally got 10 people commenting might get 100. And when it gets 100, it goes viral and gets more. So we'll put together some different aspects there, try to tie in also different things the restaurant has going. Like I like to use this growler as an example. That if I sold growlers at my restaurant, I would consistently have contests around how much money's in the growler. Hey, I got the growlers full of change. How much is in here? Guess, and we're going to dump it out into a video and count it out. And whoever wins gets a $100 gift card. Yep. And you're not telling people to come buy growlers, but subconsciously they're thinking about it. It's like you with ribs. How many ribs are on this giant stack?
Do you know how many fish bowls get sold when someone buys a fish bowl? When a cocktail leaves the bartender and it's full with a Mai Tai and 2 floating rubber ducks and it goes to someone's table, literally that's when that thing gets sold.
Yep.
I want that. Yep. That's the FOMO.
Yeah. Hofbrauhaus, this brand does the Das Boot. So they have a giant boot full of beer. And the only time they sell them is when somebody gets the boot with beer in it and everybody goes, oh crap, I want one. Next thing you know, there's giant boots everywhere.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that wraps up this episode. Next episode, I want to ask you a question. We're going to dig into a topic of now hiring.
Perfect.
And go a little down that path. So that's all we got for this episode of Own Their
Phones.
See you next time.